thank you so much, Blaze. And oh boy, I tell you what, man, I was excited already for the Boston Major, but seeing the crowd get hyped, seeing these teams walk out on stage, there's a new level of energy coming into Major 2.
Oh, brother, you know, I'm a New Yorker, so it's kind of tough to walk into Boston. But ever since I've gotten here, it's been nothing but love, man. I'm so excited to start off this event. We got a banger of a match, New York going up against Minnesota. We saw it at Major 1. New York got the better of them in the 3-0. I don't know if it's going to be different this time around, though.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? You do have two interesting stories when we talk about both of these teams. Right now, New York in a great situation, our Major 1 champions. However, there's a little bit of turbulence on the way here to Boston, buddy. I think, like the Subliners arrived late last night. Cinder was tweeting out he was spending like 24 hours in the airport. It's not been easy for either team to get to Boston itself.
Oh, yeah, it's been tough, man. Obviously, we know if you're flying out of Texas, it's very difficult to get over here with all the weather issues going on, but they made it. So now, if you're here, you have to make sure you make your time worth it, and hopefully this match one is everything we want it to be.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's a better performance than the last time around, because you kind of teased at it for a moment. Last time these teams played was at Major 1, and it was not a good result for the Røkkr fans.
Yeah, it was a clean 3-0. Like New York, they got back-to-back fortresses in the respawn, then that embassy search and destroy, they ended up beating them 6-2, and unfortunately for Minnesota, if they do get all the way to that Game 5, that embassy will be sitting pretty for New York. But as we take a look at the stats, you see the season right now for NYSL, 18-11 in hardpoint, better in S&D, and a little bit, I think, like, it's got to be better for Minnesota in control, because they have two maps where they are just absolutely dominant on, and the one it is in this series, aBeZy, they're going to be undefeated. So I'm really curious to see why NYSL picked these maps that they did.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely questionable. The desk was touching on it a bit. We've obviously heard throughout our Major 2 qualifiers at times the Subliners players be like, yeah, you know, we're going to bring out some interesting strategies. We're trying to add a new element to the map pool, but it's definitely going to be an intriguing series as we kick off our Boston Major with the Subliners taking on the Minnesota Røkkr. It's going to be a fun one, but without question, one of the more interesting players to look out for in the series is the man who's been putting up some bombs so far throughout our qualifiers. Afro, Jay, is without question somebody who is going to light it up here in this series.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the battle between Afro and HyDra. It's the third KD on Hotel Hardpoint going up against the fifth, but here we go, ladies and gentlemen, to start us off right in towards Boston. Bance finds the first kill. They're starting off on the better side and actually got a 6 stat from my guy Tim. Shout out to him. If you're starting off on Cortec, which is the better side for P1, you have a 65% win rate on this map. So we're already off to a good start as Minnesota finding those 5 seconds, but New York, they find the break, and now they're soaking up all the P1 time.
Yeah, right, when it comes to Hotel Hardpoint, so often we talk about it. P1, it's great, but you're really focused on those spawns for New. Right now, the Subliners hold the minor advantage, but they hold the better map positioning as it currently stands. A few Røkkr players looking to make a few swings. However, they got to be looking out for KiSMET, Jay. Mr. Do-It-All already causing some problems late as we get ready now for lobby.
Yeah, KiSMET is the guy that's always just going to be running around with that SMG, putting himself in powerful positions. Doesn't really worry about the stats.
Oh.
He's just always thinking about the win. HyDra finds the first kill off the rotation, so now this is going to allow NYSL to get fully set up over towards P2. These gunfights are big.
Skyz already starting off great. Eventually does fall, but a forward one beginning, but Røkkr able to put 2 in the dust. So NYSL, those close spawns still coming through. Røkkr with the very aggressive plays. Gonna have to be wary over both sides. Look both ways before crossing, because here Røkkr come. Now they hold the time.
That's a beautiful break right there from Minnesota. Just have to hold on and get all these kills, but New York, they find the break right back. Last time these guys played around, it was all of NYSL's AR players. It was Skyz and Priestahh who both dropped 1.4s in those series. And so far, they're starting off pretty damn good, but Bance hits a nice shot onto HyDra. NYSL still with the hold. Now you're going to force Minnesota to hit that rotation over towards P3.
Yeah, they're one of the better rotation teams in the game, and they're going to have to look for a solid lockdown now as we head over toward the kitchen. The final 10 seconds belong to the Subliners. And as we said, Jake, this is a massive hard point for the likes of Minnesota Røkkr. It feels like a lot of their struggles lately have been coming from the opening hardpoints. A lot of their success has also been happening from these opening hardpoints. A major hill to lock down, and right now Cammy is getting ready to have a few Subliners enter in toward that reticle. HyDra starting things off hot. We say goodbye to Cammy. Attach hits the deck, and with that, it is a flawless break from New York.
And it's usually Minnesota having a great rotation on this map. #1 on this map, but NYSL, this is their money hill. 100% hold rate on this P3. free hard point as they find the break nice and early. But 2 kills are going to go in favor of Minnesota. Both those players from NYSL are not going to spawn out towards the middle of the map. So you have the numbers. You just have to win the gunfights. HyDra and Skyz, they find 2. KiSMET finds a 3rd. And just like that, New York are still holding.
Yeah, and like there's 20 seconds left. I was going to say for attach, it's a matter of like, yeah, we really want to try to contest for this, but at the same time, you really can't. I mean, you're thinking about those next side spawns. You want to keep New York toward the far left side of the screen, but nonetheless, they've already made their way through. And with that, the Subliners already making some huge plays around the map. A bunch of players finding themselves on sprees. As we head now over toward the bar, the desk touched on attach, the player to look out for. And right now, he sits in one of the best spots.
Yeah, but now if you are Minnesota, you have to get some time to get back into this one. Currently down by almost 40 points. They're winning a majority of these gunfights. KiSMET wins 1 through single arch. So now they're going to set up the pinch. That's going to be 3 dead. Last player in the point is going to be attached. He finds 1. He has to try to finesse, but eventually he gets taken down. And New York find another break, and they flip the spawns.
And that's the scary part, Jay. You and I had a bunch of conversations coming into this hard discussing about New York's aggression. And well, right on the other side, you got to talk about Afro as well, trying to equal out the Subliners' aggression with aggression of his own. Now on 4, nearly finds the 5th. Røkkr, they need every single one of these seconds.
And Røkkr right now, they're setting up perfectly. The final 15 should be theirs, and you're winning that rotation already towards New. As attach finds himself towards that jewelry side. New York, they find a couple kills. They're able to get this last 10 seconds. But now off the rotation, Minnesota should be set up. You cannot allow KiSMET to break your setup. He's just going to be playing it super patient, waiting for his teammates to get into the play.
And again, we stay looking through the eyes of Afro. Feels like for Røkkr, the guy that can just turn the tide of a hard point at a moment's notice. The drop of a hat restaurant, it's already going down. The kills are already here, and Afro was just waiting for someone to enter in toward that reticle. However, it's going to come from the opposite side. Bance has been playing so well in hardpoint as of late. It's going to have to put through 1, not able to do so. How about the cover fire coming in from HyDra? It is an all-out brawl going down in the restaurant as the dust settles. It belongs to NYSL now.
In New York, they find the break, so now the final 30 can potentially be theirs. You do have a player in Minnesota who is going to spawn up behind them, so they potentially can set up a pinch if they want to. But your main focus is maintaining that backside. Make sure you have those spawns going in towards flat. And I think you touched on it perfectly, Lando. Minnesota, as of recent, they've been having a lot of success in hardpoint, and I think majority of that comes down to Bance's performance. In stage 1, he was a .92 in hardpoint, but so far in stage 2, he's been a 1.13. He's really been stepping up alongside Afro.
I think you touched on it quite a bit already, but what do you feel like has been the difference so far for Bance?
It's the patience of him knowing, having the knowledge of the game, knowing the timings, knowing everything he needs to know about the game, to where he's getting these easy kills, just shooting them in the back, and then maintaining the spawns. As we find ourselves going into the next hill, majority of NYSL already towards back kitchen. These gunfights are big for the influence of spawns.
We'll talk about a majority right now. HyDra has a majority of the kills. That's now going to be 18 and 8 for the French phenom. 10 seconds ago, it was Røkkr with time, Røkkr with a great setup, and now it appears that HyDra's on their heels. Minnesota, regardless, are able to find a few, but HyDra still remains.
He's the only one here, though, so Minnesota should be soaking as much time as they possibly can. They were able to flip the spawns. They just can't take down HyDra, as he's already 20 and 8 to start us off in this hard point. But it's basically a tie game. Minnesota have done exactly what they needed to do to get themselves right back into this one. They're winning gunfights now off the rotation towards P1. We're not going to have a lead change, but Minnesota are thinking big picture. They want those spawns for P2.
Yeah, absolutely, and understandably so, considering how the first set of rotations went. So we reset our hard points. We now fly back toward P1. And now could be the opportunity for Skyz to erupt. As we said, Jay, it was really the ARs for the Subliners last time that these teams met up. Currently, Skyz just -1. Priestahh, however, not having a great time so far. We'll see if he can get things going. Because right now, he sits at 9 and 18. Popping Daddy, trying to make some plays. And as we said, most of all, Jay, both teams looking for those spawns are on the right side of the minimap.
Yeah, both teams just trying to set up properly around that P2. But if you're either one of these squads, you don't want to give up a lot of time to either squad off P1. As Priestahh finds that kill, he's able to slip right on by, and now the spawns are going to flip. NYSL have control of the next hill, but with attach finding that 3-piece, now this is where you put the pressure on if you are Minnesota.
The ARs, they spawn close. I think Priesthah's right here. Skyz trying to lock things down, puts a few shots into attach. Nade is out. Trophies there as well. You got to throw out those trophies. As we learn as of late, those things can absolutely save a hard point. As now KiSMET, he's able to arrive as well. The door gets shut on Røkkr as now few of those spawn outs starting to begin, and HyDra is having a field day catching Røkkr players, weakening them up, and right now it is easy time for NYSL.
Yeah, New York, they get the lead right on back. Now you're forcing Minnesota to all try to push through Spa. They're taking their time to know how big this break has to be. Find the first kill onto KiSMET, Skyz with the trade, but at least they make their way through the back. HyDra takes him down, so not going to influence those spawns. That's going to be 3, make it all 4 dead as New York hold the first push.
So HyDra, here he comes! Not going to happen. Attach, able to silence him for a moment. 25 very valuable points still left up on the board, but Røkkr, they may have to chalk it. Maybe one last good push, and okay, not a good push at all. KiSMET takes down the final 2, and now over toward kitchen we go. KiSMET continuing to make plays, and Jay, right now, New York, they've got the numbers.
Yeah, they've got the numbers. You have to hold strong if you are Minnesota, because this is where New York were able to grow the lead that they did with a full 60 hold on P3 without running rotations. They conga line right through the front door and were able to find every single kill. So now Minnesota fully set up, 2 players in the point. The dive comes in, not going to be able to pick up that kill on the HyDra. Already the trade's going in favor of New York as they find another break.
Another break possibly for NYSL as they punch the 202nd mark. KiSMET.
Oh, my.
Oh, goodness. Now on 5. As we said, the man does it all. Tosses down the trophy, minute and 30 in the hill and on to spree as New York look to be in a wonderful spot for Røkkr. It has got to be a break. They've got to rush on through, but Priestahh, he's starting to light it up as well. And picking up from where the teammates left off, NYSL, everybody's starting to fry.
Everybody's flying. A little bit of snakes coming in from Skyz to find that final 20. As New York are getting closer and closer to taking map number 1. Now off the rotation towards double deaths. There's more bodies here for Minnesota. They win the initial 2 gunfights. Now they have to just focus on Priestahh. You take him down, you're able to flip those spawns and hold down that spot side.
See how long it can happen for as Priestahh begins to line him up. Nearly finds a 3rd. Sweat off the brow for Minnesota, but they've got to be ready. As here comes the initial fights toward the front. New York, as we said, aggressive team. Oh, the nade. Cuts away Afro, 1 player on the flank is Bance. He nearly gets cut away as well. 5 more seconds before this one is done. And Minnesota, can anybody get there in time? The Dolphin dive, not gonna occur. And a solid start for the Subliners.
Solid start for the Subliners indeed, my friend, and it was all on that P3. Minnesota had the rotation twice, but they could not get a hold. A full 60 from NYSL on the very first rotation of hard points, and then about 40 to 50 points on the second. New York knew that that was their money hill. That's where they needed to have some success. They do that, and they take map number 1.
And that's a crucial one. I mean, we said coming into it how important it was for Minnesota. It feels like a lot of their success and really a lot of their non-success comes from these opening hard points. They obviously drop our opener here. And now that puts themselves in a bit of a predicament because normally, Jay, we're talking about Minnesota Røkkr saying, okay, cool, the S&D is going to be guaranteed. It has not been all season long, really.
Yeah, it's been kind of up and down, and especially on land. They're 1-5 in Search and Destroy in the land environment, so that's not a good stat line. It's usually S&D wins you championships, right? So you have to get back on that prime form if you are Minnesota. The good thing for them is that all throughout Stage 2, New York were the only team that found success in 1 Search and Destroy map, and that was aBeZy. That's not going to be here, so if you are Minnesota, this is where you have to answer back, because the last time that they played this map on Hotel Search and Destroy, it was versus Atlanta FaZe. We won it in the 6-3 fashion, and we're pretty dominant at it, so you have to make sure you're keeping those same fundamentals in play, because NYSL, they are going to be the aggressors on the attacking side.
And I think it's also an interesting element to this series, man. I mean, I was a little curious. I know on your side, you're like, nah, I don't think it's going to affect them, and so far it is not. I was a little concerned about the Subliners. Like, they arrived late last night. All of us are going out for a talent dinner and having a great time talking about our series, and I see some tweets rolling through of the Subliners like, yeah, we finally made it to Boston, and it was like, okay, like, is that going to affect them in some way? Jet lag, the fact that you've been in the airport for such a long time. I think they want to come out, win this series, and honestly go straight to bed.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you want to do.
Clean 3-0 real quick.
I'm pretty sure HyDra doesn't even have his controller. You don't got to quote me on that, but didn't even matter in that map number 1. He almost puts up 30 kills on map number 1 as we take a look at our maps and modes presented by GMC Hummer. That Hotel Search and Destroy is so big because with Minnesota, they usually find themselves down 0-1 in series. They don't really have a lot of success in opening hard points. When they do, that's when they have a lot of success throughout the series. They potentially most likely close that one out when you you start down 0-1, this is where you need to respond. In search and destroy. All throughout stage 1, they were the worst team in 3v4s. So if you get picked off first, that's when you're not going to have a lot of success. But the good thing for them, like I said, New York have only won aLLeY search and destroy all throughout stage 2. So that has to be your bread and butter for Minnesota to tie it up, or at least right now, 1-1.
Yeah, you got to wake up a little bit, right? It was kind of a shaky, hard point to start things off. You got to answer back in this next search destroy. As we said, for Røkkr, if they want to be alive for a long time at this tournament, that search destroy has got to see quite a bit of success. And I don't know, man, it just feels like respawns are just not guaranteed for any team. It feels like lately search destroy typically is the barometer for how solid teams are looking, at least as of late. But we'll see how they look to answer back in our next search and destroy as we fly through the crowd here in Boston. Eager to see if Minnesota can make this a good series, man. It's like lately, I feel like every tournament that we start off with is typically a banger. And I think the room's a little down after a series, or after a hard point like that.
Yeah, that opening map 1-1, we were all expecting New York to do what they do.
Yeah, take that.
So now, you know, with Minnesota, they need to respond into search and destroys. And the good thing for them is that they're playing this hotel where they are the #2 defensive team on the map, but they're going up against NYSL, who are the #1 attacking team on the map.
Okay.
So it tells you the story right there. You win your defenses if you are Minnesota, you potentially close out the map. If you are NYSL and you win your attacking rounds, you potentially see success at the very end. So defense versus offense, whoever has more success.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know, oftentimes we talk about, you know, like different sports and whatnot, whoever has a better offense, better defense, however all that stuff relates. But as we said, Røkkr are eager for a rebound. We'll see if they can do that as we get ready for Hotel Search Destroy game number 2. The one thing as well, Jay, we got to highlight, after a hard point like that, after a loss like that for Røkkr, it starts to weigh in your mind a bit, the lane placements, like the issues with this team. It's almost like a bit of a land curse for them as of late. So to kind of talk about the search destroy, how much it means for them, just a loss in general today would not treat them kindly, as they have yet to see anything outside of the top 8. Going all the way back to Cold War. So just to highlight it a bit, top 8, top 12 has been where the Røkkr have resided so far throughout our LAN matches. But eager to answer back in the search destroys. We load in for round number 1, and it's the Røkkr on the attack. And it's an interesting play off the rip, Jay. It looks like we got 2 arrows already in the restaurant for Minnesota.
Yeah, right now you just want to show presence over towards B and just get a feel of how they're going to be playing their defensive setup. Because you already have Bance sneaking his way all the way up to cap room. Just trying to find the timing if any players are going to be playing towards B. New York looking like they're going to put a lot of pressure in towards single to get the stun connection onto Cammy. They're probably going to go for the challenge as he's one shot.
Oh, Cammy ends up falling. Great peek coming in from HyDra. Trades overwhelmingly favoring the side of the Subliners, especially considering that bomb is down. So Attach and Bance, the final 2 left up for Minnesota, as they desperately need to join alongside of each other, grab that bomb, and get going. 35 seconds left.
35 seconds, and New York, they've already covered a lot of ground. And knowing that Minnesota are definitely going to be pushing over towards B. The dead silence gets popped from HyDra. He can't finish the kill, but at least he knows the push is coming in. Now you have Skyz already off the rotation. Going to play it nice and safe towards back plat. Look at the player that's underneath him. Bance might find a kill.
Oh, but Skyz not able to finish him off. So that will be a bomb that does make its way over inside of the B site. However, how quickly can the Subliners begin to arrive? Player number 1 in Priestahh could be the first one with eyes on. Bomb goes down, and right as we take a look at it, Priestahh does as well. Where's Attach hiding? He ends up dropping. Now it's on to Bance. He's been the route man so far, and can he be the clutch master in the 1v2?
Yeah, and this is for the ace right here. Just playing it super silent, just trying to find the timing. He spots Priestahh, makes it a 1v1. He spots HyDra, but can't win it. HyDra rips him off with a heady and takes round number 1 for New York. I thought Bance was making the play, man. He finds 3 on the round. All you have to do is hit a couple more snakes right there behind the kitchen counter. And potentially the gunfight goes in its favor. But New York get the first blood onto Cammy. Eventually clutch up the 1v1 in HyDra, as now they go up 1-0.
And it feels like the most interesting element to Minnesota search destroy struggles, Jay. The Des touched on it, and accurately so. You got Afro, who's beaming right now in search destroy, but there's one guy from Minnesota who hasn't, and that's the guy that got first blood of that last round. Cammy has been on the struggle bus so far throughout MW2.
Especially in search and destroy. Like throughout stage 1, he was a .72 KD, but in stage 2, he was a .69.
Yeah.
They didn't even get better. So I think Cammy right now is just a little bit uncomfortable in his positioning. Hopefully he can change that around soon, as now it's going to be New York on the attacking round. This is where they have a lot of success. Big first blood coming in from Afro.
Great work early from Afro. We talked about the SMG battles. Afro versus HyDra currently. And it's Afro who has the current laugh. But right now for the Subliners, as we said, coming into this, it was New York's offense versus Minnesota's defense. Meanwhile, Priestahh has found a pick on Cammy, so that will confuse the likes of Røkkr a bit on where they want to initiate those arrows, as KiSMET very well can make the rotation here through couches.
KiSMET can make the rotation, but Priestahh gives up his life for free. So now into 2v3. Minnesota think they have shut down that push over towards B, but KiSMET sneaks his way in through the jacuzzi. Now the bomb is going to get planted. 45 seconds on the retake. Minnesota 3v2.
Minnesota with numbers. Where does KiSMET look to hide? All right, on the shelf. Here he comes. Here comes the Røkkr retake. 28 seconds to go.
Skyz got to get closer.
He's got to arrive. He's got to get here soon. Early gun engagement. Dolphin dive out, but KiSMET is able to take the first. Trades. Now brings it to a 1v1. Skyz v Afro. Here comes the gun engagement. And it's Afro that's able to take it. Woo! He had to work for that one, but he gets it nonetheless. He's pulsing. After a round like that, Minnesota equalize.
Big kill right there from Afro to clutch up the 1v1. So he goes for that challenge with that Vaznev in hand, has that dead silence pop, so Skyz isn't going to be ready for it. First bullet comes in from Skyz, but the snap from Afro to close out the round. They found the first blood, eventually at least a success. Great plays from Afro to tie it up at 1.
Big 1v1 for him. As we said, Afro has been the saving grace so far for Minnesota.
1.3 in S&D, man.
Just a casual 1.3 in Search Destroy. I think they said on the desk like a 1.5 KD in S&D so far throughout Major 2, living up to the hype. As we said, we're squared at 1. Into round 3 we go. Røkkr back with the bomb on their back. Specifically, it's Cam. He's going to have that bomb in the hand, player number 8. So as we get ready for this one, interesting map positioning based off where Bance is, trying to make some noise over at B. And he's definitely hearing quite a bit of Subliners over on that side of the map. Bomb goes down, and now here comes Subliners.
4v4 retake. Bance is holding that late flank. He finds the kill onto HyDra. KiSMET with the trade, though. So now in the 3v3, Afro's already pushed up in towards bedroom. He's going to be the nuisance that New York have to worry about. There's only 25 seconds left. KiSMET's just going to hop on it.
KiSMET will jump on. Minnesota. Afro does not spot him. Afro does not spot him on the defuse. And New York jump right on in. Not a problem in the world. And I think at the end, Røkkr realized it's a little too quiet. And for good reason, NYSL were chuckling to themselves. And are we really about to get this defuse? And they do indeed, Jay. 2-1.
Yeah, communication just got to be better right there from Minnesota. You had the man advantage. You have to have someone dedicated to looking at that bomb, to not allow anything fishy to happen. As KiSMET just sticks on it. That's what KiSMET does, just makes the plays to win the games. As New York now go up 2-1, and this time around on their attacking rounds, a lot of pressure over towards B. Complete blind counter. Minnesota are not going to be ready for it.
I was going to say, after a round like that, you get a clutch defuse. It almost infuses you with a new level of confidence. NYSL, hot and heavy, quickly into that B site. As Minnesota a little late to adapt. The only player at ear's distance of this is going to be Cammy. As we said, the guy who has struggled so far in Search Destroy, currently starting things off at 0-3. Can he make the plays as the bomb gets planted?
Bomb gets planted, so now if you are Cammy, just want to wait for your teammates to get into the play. He finds the first kill onto HyDra. Now into 3v4, this is where you use your attacks, try to sniff them all out. He's able to back down Priestahh, now you can fight for that kitchen control.
Yeah, great work from Cammy to distance them out, but it's on the Bance to win the gunfights. He's able to do so. Meanwhile, Afro, who's been given the comms, he knows that there's somebody around this corner, and he will take that fight. Minnesota able to retake, and it feels like it's perfect, man. Cammy's the only player who's not able to run around as this round number 4 comes to a close, but he's the reason why they're in a situation like that. Finds that pick and gives those comms over to the rest of the teammates.
That's just a perfect retake right there from Minnesota. They're the #1 retaking team on this map, and so far they have done it twice over at that B bomb site. Just playing it super patient. Once you open those doors, you hold down your angles, you know that they have to be laying down behind a majority of those desks in there. You use your attacks, you're able to get them out of positionings, and then when you find that first kill, already the trades are going to go in your advantage. As Minnesota now tied up at 2.
Afro on 4, Bance on 3. I mean, it's really been the respawns where those guys have absolutely started to light it up, into the S&D as well, where this team needs a comeback, needs a bit of hype. They're starting to get it. 2-2 we go. Minnesota back on the attack. We've seen quite a few teams tempting at that B site so far. A lot of action going on the top side of the map, but action indeed as Skyz bringing out the big guns. Bance is there for the trade. And now it's going to fall into him again to potentially make the plays, Jay. Priestahh's right around the corner.
Yeah, Priestahh's just going to take his time. He knows that they have kitchen control. Trying to hit a couple pre-fires through the door. Nothing is going to connect. As the bomb is already rotated to that side of the map. Only player here is still Priestahh. So you have to play this nice and slow. As the bomb is going to get planted. 3v3 retake now for New York.
Priestahh's like, come out with your hands up. Minnesota's like, no, we don't have to do that. So now search destroy works, buddy. And YSL coming in from all angles. Røkkr using everything they can to try to stay alive. Every single utensil. And those kitchen drawers. Bance still up. Cammy ends up finding a pick on Skyz. The low in numbers only continues to rise. HyDra, last one here. He will drop. And Røkkr's success will only continue.
Same as I played, I did on the very first attacking round. It was just the only thing that happened differently was the guy that picked over towards that A site. And then you basically could not allow Bance to push up through B, but he finds the trade onto the player being aggressive and through Diner. Once you kill that player, you know that there's no one else at this B bomb. Push aggression, you get right on it and you get the bomb down. You hold strong on your setup, and Minnesota now take the lead.
You see Bance starting to bark out orders toward the Røkkr, as we said, all eyes on them, and a lot of eyes on him lately, Jay. I mean, I know it's a lot of the time we've been highlighting him in the respawns, but he's just been at top level Bance as of lately, a 1.13 overall KD in their last 3 series. It's been the reason why the Minnesota Røkkr are in this position, considering how great they have looked toward the end of our qualifiers. And now it's going to be on to them to retake a quick bomb plant. No surprise that the Subliners, a strat they like to do quite often. We'll see if Bance can try to lead the charge here for Røkkr to find another round.
At least the good thing for Minnesota is that you know no one is pushed up in towards bedroom. Your main focus has to be towards Des. They're trying to challenge from the front, but Priestahh finds the first, Skyz with the second. So now in a 4v2, all left up to Afro to attach. You know that they're playing towards bedroom. Afro at least finds one, 3v2.
It's a heat check type of gunfight there for the French phenom, as he does fall. Only 10 seconds left. I mean, this round is nearly impossible already here for Røkkr. Skyz locking down the bar. He's ready to hand out a few drinks. And a double at that. Great beams coming in there from Caesar. We level again.
Oh man, let me tell you, that God Heglitch right there. I have so many problems with it, even in Mosh Pit. When you set up on this Heglitch, it's very, very difficult to take that player off the position. As Skyz lines them both up, finds the final 2 kills. As New York tie it up at 3. Minnesota have had a lot of success over towards B, and none towards A. So do they try to switch this up? NYSL, do they send 2 players over towards B to not get caught off guard? We're just gonna have to wait and see. As Minnesota on the attack, another 2-2 split from them.
See what the game plan elects to be. And very well could fall into the hands of Skyz early, as that smoke will begin to dissipate over at that B site. Take a look at that mid pressure, by the way, of Røkkr, Jay. They are quickly making their way into the setup. Bance already behind enemy lines, and he's not been spotted. Deddy popped as well. Inching his way through that door. Cammy finds the first blood. KiSMET, only player here.
He's the guy. KiSMET is the guy. They're not going to be able to check this corner as KiSMET not able to finish the kill. He finds the first, finds the second. As the bomb does get planted. So now in a 2v2, because Attach finds one. Just going to play this patient. Priestahh's going to give up the information of one player playing towards Frieza, but that's going to be Afro. He finds the first, he finds the second. As Minnesota now take the lead at 4-3.
I want to see this again. Afro says hello to KiSMET. Priestahh, absolutely a 2-for-1 special. Now sitting at 7-2. That looked like it had New York's name written all over it after the plays that KiSMET makes. But once again, it is Marcus Reed, Afro, coming away with the plays. As right now he is trying to lead the boys back. Now up 4 rounds to 3. We jump into this round. Still looking through the eyes of the hot gun, the Vazdev, that I'm sure everybody wishes that they can have. Will we see the continuous aggressive plays from New York? They have been all about A up to this point, and Jay, based off those arrows, it looks to be the same.
Yeah, you already have HyDra already pushed up towards top plat. Just making his way up that position, covering a lot of ground. So you have a lot of map control to potentially put this bomb down towards A. You also have one player in KiSMET who's slowly working up that flank through cat room. But HyDra already finds himself in the back of the spawn. He should be able to open the first blood onto Attach. And now you know where Bance is as well.
And it's great work as KiSMET desperately trying to find out where he happens to be. Bance actually puts in a few shots. HyDra knows exactly or at least roughly where Bance was. Bomb goes down. Røkkr, quite a few spread out arrows, and this is where HyDra can start to thrive quickly with 2. And KiSMET will wipe away Cammy. Last player alive is going to be Afro, but he erupts with 2 again. Dead silence. 30 seconds to go.
30 seconds, 1v2. And you get to that bomb site as fast as you possibly can. As they have the crossfire set up, Skyz is able to spot him. Priestahh with the cover shots. As New York played super patient on their attacking rounds, they allow their playmaker in HyDra to get pushed up in the position that he was, find the first blood, find the second onto Bance. And at that point, the 2v1, Afro had no time to work with. They set up the crossfire as New York win another attacking round, now all at 4 apiece.
It just feels like, though, for Afro, it's like, even 1v4s, we're like, well, I mean, it is Afro.
You got a chance, man.
It is Afro, back-to-back rounds, where he puts a few up on the board. Now up to 9-3. As we said, Jay, this is a huge search-destroy for the likes of the Minnesota Røkkr. A mode that they've been not as great on as of late, and a lot of it has come down to those first bloods. We'll see if that ultimately is the cause for later on in these rounds. Bance able to come away with 1. Thankfully, it is a trade for New York, so they are sleeping a little bit better. But right now for Røkkr, it's an all-out bait. NYSL thought it was going to be an all-out B hit. Meanwhile, it's going to have to be a jog across the map. Bomb down in a big spot once more for the Røkkr.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy for New York because you had no one in that bedroom positioning, so now you have to check every single corner, play it slow. So Afro finds himself in towards bottom lights. The first gunfight is going to come into attach. He's ready to play beautifully. As Cammy finds the first blood onto Skyz, he at least knows that 1 was on the flank and 1 is pushed out towards single. 20 seconds left. This is going to be Minnesota's round.
Definitely looks to be that way. However, Priestahh able to come away with 1. Good teamwork here for the Subliners. Twosome. However, 10 seconds to go. Somebody's going to be on that bomb. Afro's got to check. Afro will. Not enough time as HyDra. Consolation kills? That guy had to be weak. Goodness sake, it's a highlight for HyDra, but it's a round for Røkkr as they go up 5-4 in what has been a very intense and back and forth search destroy up to this point.
Back and forth. Minnesota now at match point. Great players on that attack round to just waste as much time as they possibly can off of that clock. And eventually do not allow New York to hop that defuse. Now, if you are Minnesota, you just don't want to give them an instant bomb plan, because that's when New York find a lot of success. You give it that instant bomb plan towards A, potentially going round 5.
And I think that's what Minnesota's prepared for, but New York, again, sneaky. Jump right into that B site. Cammy, as we said, first blood. A lot of focus is going to be on him. Oh, Cammy takes away 2. However, it is at least 1 that you find if you're New York on your jaunt toward B. 1 player holding the cross is going to be Skyz. Røkkr begin to make their way throughout the map. Skyz has got some visuals, and Skyz has got a pick.
That's a big kill coming in from Skyz. Now it's a 2v2 with 35 seconds to work with. Minnesota have retaken this B site whenever they have wanted to. Already control in towards bomb. As no one is hopping into just playing for these kills. 25 seconds left.
Minnesota hungry for information. New York eager to watch them starve. Attach. Making his way through. Skyz nearly turns on him, and Afro cleans up Priestahh. Minnesota, they had to dig deep. They had to win some crucial fights, but they win the team engagement at the end. And just like that, Røkkr right back in this series.
Right back in this series indeed, my friend, and that final round all comes to the play of Cammy, man. The fact that he was the only player over towards that B bomb, it's usually get 1 and potentially try to get out with your life, but if you can get 2, who cares if you drop, because you already put your team in the man advantage. Successful every single time over towards that B site on the retake, and that final round, nothing changed. Minnesota close out the Search and Destroy 6-4, now tie the series up at 1, and now it gets a little scary for me, Lando, because you got 2 maps that New York are not really too familiar with.
That's right, my friend. I mean, we were talking about it, that LSCLO control. I feel like it could be a really good situation for Minnesota if they were up or at least tied coming into this swing mode. And, well, they've got their wish, buddy. They're able to answer back on that Search Destroy. And I know we're talking about control, but we got to reference back to that S&D. That looked like Røkkr Search Destroy to me.
Yeah, it was just such a back and forth Search and Destroy. Like, we saw a bunch of the rounds where New York had a lot of success on their attacking rounds, but every single time Minnesota need to hit it a retake on one of these sites, the #1 retaking team on that map, it showed, man. 4v4s, back back-to-back rounds on their defenses towards B, and then even when they had to retake towards A, they were finding a lot of sets. Besides that one round where they allowed that ninja defuse to happen, Minnesota were basically playing perfect search and destroy, allowing their island players to get picks, to play their lives, and get all the information possible. And now they at least tie the series up F1.
They do indeed. As we said, a very interesting, questionable map choice, potentially for the likes of the New York Subliners, but we find ourselves with a 1-1 scoreline. Make sure and stay with us, folks, as Minnesota versus New York continues on iLLeY. Be right back.
The Call of Duty League is presented by the GMC Hummer EV Pickup, the world's first all-electric super truck. Upgrade your game with the Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
Howdy, friends, and welcome back to the Boston Major. We are kicking off this good old bad boy of a tournament with a good old 1v1 in terms of the map count right now. Jay, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm looking at that LSCLO control. And the reason why is because I'm surprised that we're seeing it, buddy. Yeah. LSCLO control, not one that we commonly witness from the likes of the New York Subliners, but they're playing it today.
I know.
Odd choice.
I know. It kind of throws me off, though, Lando, because obviously when you're sitting at 0-2, the last time you played this was at Major 1 when HyDra had those controller issues all the way in that round number 5 versus Seattle. But on the opposite side, I know Minnesota are 5-0, but they haven't been able to play it for this entire stage. So I'm really to see what kind of work New York were able to put in on the back end to get better at this map, and then what Minnesota have been able to do on their side to consistently stay good at this map.
Here we are in the game number 3, the swing mode. LSCLO control, the knife is out for Bance, but that's not what you do, Jay. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight, especially versus HyDra, as he quickly falls. And this is scary stuff already for Røkkr. They are in the very far back of the base.
Yeah, you're in a clean 4 dead right off the rip, so now Minnesota are all going to be swanning out towards back yellow shack, as New York are just playing for the trap. Already 30 seconds has gone by. Minnesota have nothing to show for it. 28-25 in lives remaining as Priestahh with that bad step in hand wins a huge one versus Afro, but they're trying to get onto the 8-point. New York just keeping the kill stagnant.
There indeed, Bance trying to do some work. Bance able to cut away 2, so there is now going to be that lane of opportunity for the Røkkr, the first time on the objective, and we'll see how long it can last. See if it can be a successful campaign over at this A zone. Afro, great work. He literally closes the door behind him right where Priestahh jumps through, greets him with a few of those high-pressure Vaznev shots. Meanwhile, HyDra still there to knock on the door. A 1v1, now a 2v1 here in favor of Minnesota. KiSMET arrives, but Bance continues to win the fights, now at 5 in a row.
Yeah, Bance is on a 5, where he basically solo caps this 8-point by himself. So the time is going to be extended by a minute. If you are New York, you just want to maintain white control, and that's where you currently have Priestahh. Don't really go for these gunfights. Just you staying alive in that positioning is exactly what you need to do. As Minnesota are just trying to find the timing. It's all about the kills on this map. They can find 2 dead, then the rotation will come in.
They will indeed attach, trying to make the plays on the backside. So Røkkr looking to make a decent dent in the setup once more. A knife gets brought out for Røkkr. Still yields to be somewhat unsuccessful, but they have added that extra minute to the clock, so some more work to be done. Yet over at that B zone, as now it could be on to Cammy. Bit of a slow start here into this control, but he's looking to level up the pace, looking to try to get things going for Minnesota. But once more, Jay, the door gets slammed right in their face. Bance, meanwhile, able to cut away 2. Problem being is that he has no teammates with him.
Yeah, he's the only one on this side of the map, so you have to try to finesse as long as you can, and so far he's dancing right now around HyDra. HyDra said, I'm not even going to look for him anymore. I'm just going to run right on by. So now Minnesota take care of Priestahh out of top white. Now you can start to push forward through field. But your main focus right now is New York is to take down Bance. He still can be the record breaker right here in this play.
A few of those Røkkr arrows begin to make their way up to the field. HyDra still able to cut away 1. Time continues to dwindle, and nobody's been able to get on this objective. Bance, the longest player who is alive for Røkkr, he eventually falls, and so now there's nobody. Now that's going to enter in toward that 50-yard line, at least as long as HyDra continues to remain alive. A 14v6. HyDra smells blood, and he will continue to rain. Ends things out, and there you go. A round that goes the way of New York. Røkkr, they at least get 3 segments on the board.
Yeah, it's good stuff for Minnesota right there to at least complete that 8-point. Because now they're going into that defensive round where they're the 2nd best team on LSCLO. 90% win rate on the defensive end.
90?
Has to show here. Yeah, 90. 9-0, Lando. Believe it or not, that's the 2nd best.
How? Somebody just I guess 100%.
Yeah, it's one team that definitely just played it once. Because if you're 5-0, you should be the best on the map, without question.
I think they deserve the title, considering that one team that just happened to win like 2 defenses in one of their LSCLO controls. Røkkr, specialists when it comes down to this very position. We'll see if the New York Subliners can make a sizable dent against it. What does the push look like? What do the early gun engagements appear to be here for the Subliners? So often we discuss for the attacking side. It needs to be a great opening break, and well, they at least find the opening pick. So job done in that regard. New York quickly jumped right onto that B zone. Time will pause.
Yeah, they're trying to get this one out of the way. Big plays coming in from KiSMET to at least read the gunfight onto Afro, but he can't pick up the gunfight. So now that's going to be 3 dead. You're just going to play over towards that B point. You had to take down Cammy, and then the spawn kill comes in, but Cammy, he finds 2, attached with the 3rd, and would look like to be a great push coming in from New York. It's instantly shut down as Minnesota holds strong.
Instantly silenced Cammy. As we said, the player to look out for. Slower start to control, but boy, as he started to heat on up. Has a lane, oh, but does get cut out. Does get found out. And so with that gunfight, with that pick that the Subliners find, it now opens up a bit of a lane. 40 seconds to go, but now Afro looks to strike himself. As we said, the SMGs can get all close and comfortable inside of the offensive spawns, and Afro looks to get snugly over here in the warehouse in a position to succeed. And he's found another onto HyDra.
Yeah, Afro's just being a nuisance, just trying to stay alive as long as he can in New York space. As the first pick is already going to be done towards A. Bance finds a kill onto KiSMET as well, so Minnesota are going to have the advantage in this trade fight. That's going to be Skyz and Priestahh finding 2. Now you have to basically give this one up if you are Minnesota. Get pushed out towards white. Unless your last 2 players can do anything, they cannot. So now all spawning out towards back cliff. You just have to win a couple of these gunfights. You do not want to let this get out of hand.
And you see the Subliners quickly trying to apply some pressure. Skyz was here for a moment. Bance, thankfully, able to drop him. And he'll be rewarded with another one. Great patience and great effort coming through from Bance. I think the last player who was pushed up close was Priestahh. He will fall. So the board gets wiped clear. Minute on the board. And we'll see what the Subliners elect to do here in the later stages of this game, as they basically tied it in terms of ticks, Jay.
Yeah, if you are New York, your main focus is just finding 2 kills in the feed so that you can potentially push up through field and spawn them all the way out across the map. So that's going to be Minnesota finding 3 dead. Now all of New York coming off spawn. There's only 1 player left in the base, which is going to be KiSMET. At least finds 1, but the trade is instantly going to be there. 50 seconds left, and New York just have to get pushed on up.
We'll see if they can do that. Bance could be the one thorn in their side. Sits in the corner at the alley, but HyDra's there to read him. So NYSL absolutely have got some numbers here. The nade gets tossed over from the top from Attach. Afro and Cammy win their fights as well. Sole player alive is KiSMET, but as we said, he is the farthest pushed up member. Nobody with him. He falls by the nade. 20 seconds to go. NYSL have got to get a move on if they expect to get 1 segment. And there's the pick, though.
Oh, well, that's going to be 2 dead. So now New York, they already have 1 player in Priestahh who's already working his way behind the flank. He cannot find any players off spawn. Afro finds the second. Now it's a 2v4. You get no auto aim through this fence. You just want to stay alive if you are Bance. Waits for your teammates to get into play, but New York at least complete 1 segment over towards B.
Yeah, that's huge. That is huge when we talk about that round 5. All things considered, a current 3v9. Does NYSL decide to hop on it? Well, the choice actually even be an opportunity for them. It appears as no. Røkkr, clean house. However, when we talk about the comparisons between the attacks, NYSL with a slight edge.
Slight edge with just that 1 extra tick that they were able to get those final couple of seconds into the round. Now it gives them the advantage, just in case they get to round number 5, of having that defensive side. But now we switch up. If you are Minnesota, you just don't want to go 4 dead right off the rip, because you're basically wasting 30 seconds trying to fight out of your spawn. And when you're wasting that much time, New York are obviously going to be slaying you down, because they have you set up in the trap. So if you are Minnesota, just try to close out one of these points early, but don't go 4 dead off the rip.
See how they elect to do it. And no surprise, right in the warehouse we go. Majority of the bodies, 7 out of the 8, basically find themselves right inside of there. HyDra and Priestahh walk away with 2 off the rip. And as we said, that is not a good sign for the Minnesota fans. As in these early gun engagements on aBeZy, you can find yourself in the spawn trap early. Thankfully, Cammy finds a big one, trying to open up that lane in toward B. Afro with a nice fight on the HyDra. Feels like he has owned that gunfight as of late.
Yeah, Afro's nasty, man, especially with that Vaznev in hand. His reaction time is insane. Taking down HyDra is never an easy task. At least Minnesota win a couple gunfights. Now they're going to be able to get pushed up over towards B. Cammy's just trying to stay alive in towards B as in towards 10. He finds that kill onto HyDra. Afro finds a second. Now that's going to be all 4 dead. The stack is going to come in towards B, and this point is done.
Yeah, this one's over. This one is clear cut. Going to go the way of Røkkr. Another minute added, and NYSL already in a world of pain. as that A zone is much easier, as we know, when it comes down to aLLeY. Cammy looking to make the routes and thinking about the long game. NYSL, this is going to be a long minute and 30 for them, especially if they're spawning out is where it looks like they're going to be. 2 down.
Oh, that's 2 down, but at least New York finds 2 of their own. So they're going to be getting those close spawns. So it's the back left side. They're just trying to win the gunfights out of the base. They do exactly that. Great patience right there from New York to hold your irons up, find the kills of the players in your spawn. Now maintain your side of the map. Now you can get a little bit aggressive up on the side. So you have already 1 player in towards top radio, trying to slay around the middle of the map, and they're causing a lot of problems right now for Minnesota.
However, you can see where the Subliners are spawning out. That player number 2 in KiSMET, he's got a long jog just to try to get back involved in the fight. And Afro doesn't win that?
Down 2?
How in the world does KiSMET even find the first, let alone the second? Goodness sake, Minnesota. They're gonna have to put their heads back on straight. 45 seconds to go. It looked like all the time in the world. It has started to dwindle away. Maybe it could be Bance and try to make the flanks, as it could be on to him. He spots KiSMET, I thought, on the left side. How about that twosome? Great work coming in from Bance as the time will pause, and they're winning their gunfights. NYSL spawning out.
And HyDra, he was the last player closest to this point. He's going to drop. The second tick is already going to be here. The stack is in for Minnesota. You have to win these gunfights if you are New York. They can't find any kills, and that's going to be Minnesota Røkkr walking away with the attacking round.
That has got to feel good. That's essentially the one little check-in we had on what appeared to be a solid-looking flank. KiSMET found 2, but I don't know, man. Bance has been having himself a game. As we said, coming into this series, he's been playing really at the top of his game so far in these last few series. Right now, sitting at 21 and 13. Great work coming in from him as he had a big few gunfights at the end. I mean, what? Objective kills sits right now at 8. He's been all over that OBJ so far throughout this one. Is New York now on the attack and around it? They have to win.
They have to win. And if they do it by completing both points, they will have defense going into this round number 5. Big first kill coming in for Priestahh to play it patient, but can't find the second on to Cammy. And now there's going to be 3 dead. Minnesota can now be the aggressors on the map and potentially put them in a trap. All of New York spawning out towards back white.
And you can see from New York, really the sense of urgency to realize, hey, we have to get out of our base and we got to get out of it quick. Bance continues to light them up. Now finds himself on the 6th spree. So if you're NYSL, you're already dealing with the fact that you're down when it comes down to this control. You've allowed for Bance to go on a spree. Now you have to worry about a streak that could be flying in from the skies at any moment. Now 7 nearly makes it 8. Sweat off the brow for Subliners just to see Bance in the respawn screen. 30 seconds to fight for as Priestahh finds a double.
Oh, Priestahh with that 2-piece is now going to allow the stack to come in over towards B, because you see the spawns from Minnesota all the way across the map. This is where you invest that cruise missile. You get all your teammates to throw your attacks, so the trophies don't have an impact. He's not able to connect on anything with that one, but New York, they're able to hop right back on it. These gunfights are going to be big. Skyz starts it off.
No surprise, Bance able to come away with 1. Only 2 members here for the New York Subliners remain at that B zone. So far, doing good progress. Attached in desperate need of a pick. Has to find this gunfight. Oh, he snaps the final bullet. Connects there on the KiSMET. 20 seconds still to go. As we said, NYSL with bodies. And this objective very well could belong to them. Only player 5, I think, is in like ear's distance. But this segment looks like it could be theirs. Cammy, can he jump in? Can he go for the dolphin dive? No, not going to happen. A big situation for the Subliners. Another minute added. And a lifeline indeed.
Now that's 2 dead already in the feed. You have HyDra wins the gunfight versus Bance. Now every single player from Minnesota coming off spawn. This is the worst case scenario. The stack is going to be in. New York have all 4 players on it. Minnesota are nowhere close to the damn point. And that's going to be New York forcing the round number 5 and securing the defensive end.
Goodness sake. When they have to, they're able to deliver. It looked a little worrisome toward the stretch, toward the end of that round, but they're able to equalize. And tell you what, man, that's what we talked about on aLLeY. When it comes down to the defense, if you drop one time, if you go 3-4 down,
one of the segments is chalked.
So difficult.
Yeah. So now if you are Minnesota, You found a lot of success on your previous attacking round by closing out that B point right off the rip. If you are New York, just gotta play a little bit more safe because you're winning a majority of these gunfights off the rip, but then you're dropping in their spawn. You have to just play your corners, wait for them to run into you. Just keep the kill stacking. Don't go 2 to 3 dead.
See how it pays off. HyDra movement off the beginning. Gets nice up and aggressive at the Minnesota base. And right to that A objective they go, to no surprise. It's KiSMET trying to do some damage. Really, it is trades abound, favoring the likes of NYSL here off the rip. And that's the biggest thing for the Røkkr, as you said, buddy. You cannot really, same thing can be said for the defense as well for the offense. You cannot go down as a team, but the Subliners begin to get found on out. That B zone now is open, 2 bodies on it.
Oh, 2 bodies on it, but KiSMET with a nice little angle with that FaZe that finds the kill onto attach. All of his teammates are spawning across the map, so the tags have to come in. Cammy finds a second. Great snap onto HyDra. Cammy finds 3. So far, stepping up in this control. All of New York spawning across the map. The second tick is already going to be here, and New York might just have to chalk this one up.
Oh, but they jump right back on in. They jump back on in, and KiSMET is able to find 2. Bance, who's on 2 HP, is just trying to use every bit of cover that that box will provide it with. Oh, it jumps out! Benjamin cuts away 1, and that zone belongs to Røkkr. How about these late game attacking rounds? Minnesota coming up clutch, grab B, and now we're eyeing up those final 3 ticks at A, and here comes the SMG duo. Here comes Bance and Afro.
They're flying right through bottom pool. They're trying to get on this point as fast as they possibly can. But you just have to find 2 dead in the feed. A couple team shots coming in. No, that's me, buddy. Don't shoot me, but now New York are still maintaining the better side of the map. You have top tower control. You're already pushed out towards back yellow. You're forcing Minnesota to now overextend. And with Afro in the position that he is, he's going to be the guy that could potentially open something up.
Oh, he just checks toward his left, cuts away Skyz.
2 dead.
Trying to give those comms over to the teammates. 2 have fallen. KiSMET comes away with the big one. However, his position's revealed. Oh, Afro turns away at the worst time possible. Bance is there to deal with them, but Cammy now is the sole man alive right now for Røkkr. He punches in that first segment, which is going to be crucial. As now Attach looks to make his way in toward Red Tower, trying to give his teammates a better position as 2 fall quickly for New York. They need these picks now.
Oh, this is where it gets scary because look at those spawns for NYSL all the way towards Cliffside. These players on the pinch have to find a couple kills, but they're able to eliminate both of them. The stack is going to be here. Minnesota has the chance to close it out right now.
They do, an Attach is going to cause them all kinds of issues.
Gotta go.
As we said, in that position, KiSMET able to jump in for a moment, able to pause things for the time, but Røkkr, oh, they get it! Røkkr will grab the round 5. As New York were right there, an inch away from jumping back inside of that point. But Minnesota come up with the clutches as it's all attacks to close out aBeZy. And I guess, Jay, when it comes down to those map vetoes, we said you don't want to play Røkkr on a spot like this. They get tested and they come away with the clutch. Now what, 6-0 on this very map and mode?
6-0 on aBeZy. I thought New York were going to put in a lot of work on the back end to come out and make this map pick their choice. But unfortunately, they fall short, and they just simply were not ready for Benjamin Bance. 33 and 21, 28 non-traded kills. Let me just tell you, man, like that's got to be super annoying, especially in control, because he's getting a clean 3 to 4 dead, and now you got to check every single corner of where Bance is. He was just finding 2-piece after 2-piece. He was a sole capper at that A site. Every single time they needed to stop that clock, he was the guy that was able to get on the point. He just makes the plays when it's needed the most, as now Minnesota take a commanding 2-1 lead in the series.
Yeah, I think, buddy, I mean, you called it perfectly. They take a commanding advantage. That search destroy was huge. It carries that momentum into the control, as now they find themselves on top in this series, at least for the moment, versus our defending Major 1 champions. And I don't know, man, like, it's also a little bit worrisome when we're talking about being at this stage in the map set.
Yeah.
Because we have an aBeZy Hardpoint coming up next where New York does not have a lot of reps on.
They've only played it once, man, and that was at the beginning of this stage. There was when they went through the stage, they wanted to play a couple maps they weren't really used to.
Right.
So they started playing some HyDra Hardpoints. They started playing some aBeZys, but they've only had the chance to play this once, and that was versus LAT. They were able to win it 250 to 219 with only 1 rep on it. it's going to be very difficult to try to beat Minnesota, who have played it a couple more times. And Minnesota also the #1 holding team on that map. So not really a lot of work with if you are NYSL, but they're one of the best hardpoint teams in the game. Just have to show it in this map #4 to stay alive and force game 5.
Yeah, already it is the likes of the New York Subliners being tested by a fiery Minnesota Røkkr squad. I mean, we've talked about it consistently coming into this series. The Des touched on it as well. The online to LAN struggles, whether we've talked about it with specific players or whether we've talked about it with just the franchise, the team as a whole, they have yet to finish better than the top 8 since Cold War. An opening victory like this would put them in a great position. As we said, that last major did not look great. They actually lost to this very team 3-0 at the last major. So the likes, if they could come out, close out this series, what would that say about Minnesota for their confidence?
You got to be feeling great, man, because obviously you lose that opening hard point. It's usually a common thing with Minnesota Røkkr, but they clutch up in the search and destroy. You win your control, which is the best one you have played so far throughout the season. Now 6-0 in iLLeY, and now you got a map where you have had a lot more reps than New York have. You should know exactly what you need to fix and what you need to do to counter New York, because the only one time that New York played it was versus LA Thieves. When they had a lot of success, it all came down to that P4 hardpoint. It's 100% hold rate for New York on that hill specifically, but overall, everything else is Minnesota.
Okay, well, for the likes of Minnesota, I know we've talked about it. They find themselves right now in the driver's seat. For the likes of the New York Subliners, you talked about the rotations to look out for. Who are the players to look out for specifically on this aBeZy? I know oftentimes we talk about HyDra, we talk about certain players, but the way that aBeZy hardpoint plays, the certain hardpoints that you're talking about, who do you expect to go off for the Subliners if we see a game 5?
I think for me, for New York, it has to be Priestahh, because on a map like this is where you can take over with those ARs. But if it's anything like map #1, Priestahh pulls out that SMG in a majority of these situations. Yeah. So when you get to that P5, when you can have 3 submachine gun players just slaying in towards bottom kitchen, that's where you're going to have a lot of success. So I'm really looking at Priestahh, who had a slow start at map #1, to bounce back in this map #4 to help his team force game 5.
I want to say you and I had a cast for Atlanta FaZe, I think it was. It might have been versus OpTic, actually, like one of the closeout matches of our Major 2 qualifiers, where we saw Cellium, like an AR player,
pulling out
that VazNev on aBeZy hardpoint. It feels like it's starting to become more of a strategy on a regular basis. And I know we talked about Kitchen Hill, for example. Like, obviously, you want to have 4 VazNevs typically in a situation like that, but I'm going to tell you what, this very well could come down to whose SMGs are firing better, whose VazNevs are hotter. And right now, I'm going to tell you what, for Minnesota Røkkr, we're talking a lot about Afro. We got to start talking more about Bance.
Yeah, Bance is making plays, man, in the search and destroy, in the control, and even in that opening hard point. He was doing it with that SMG in hand. So now that you are Minnesota in command of this series, you have the potential to close this one out right now on a map that New York have barely played. You win your rotations, you're going to be able to set yourself up for a lot of success, but I think the money hill, the turning point in this game is going to be the P4. Just like it was in map #1 with that Kitchen Hill, where New York found 120 seconds. If you are Minnesota, P4 has got to be your do-it-all.
We'll see if it can be here. A massive spot for the Minnesota Røkkr, and equally one in terms of pressure on the Subliners. They are our defending Major 1 champions after all. To come into the Boston Major, lose that opening series would definitely be a scary situation as we jump straight on in here to aBeZy, and it is perfect work out of the Subliners, and Nade coinciding with a great little AR shot covered in from KiSMET gives New York the first few seconds.
It's a great start from New York, starting off on the better side. You get some initial time off for this P1, but they're thinking about that map control. They're trying to maintain as much as they can towards PD, and now those spawns are going to flip. So now if you are Minnesota, just keep them off at this point, but maintain parking lot side going into next hill.
There's 25 seconds left now for New York. The conversation becomes a little bit different. I think you want to try to jump on the objective. If not, try to go for those quick rotations. Bance, he ends up following. So Subliners, they're finding the kills, but as we said, map positioning is really the biggest focus for the time. Right now, attach, as per usual, being that anchor, locking things down. As we see a few interesting arrows starting to spawn in across the map. Only player that could be in contention is really an old teammate in Priestahh, as he's able to lay down attach. Now a big gunfight victory. It's a great little duo coming in from the Subliners. Røkkr still trying to lock things down. As KiSMET breaks on forward, that hardpoint is open.
At least the good thing for Minnesota is that they're still spawning out towards back kitchen, so they're maintaining the backside exactly what they need to do. All you have to do is win these gunfights. KiSMET is the only player you need to take care of. He was staying alive for a long time, but they find the break. Now they're fully set up for this P2 hardpoint. Just have to make sure you stay alive on the hill, and KiSMET's trophy had to be pretty strong. Takes off Cammy, and now no one is on the time for Minnesota.
25 seconds left. You absolutely grab that. Subliners walk on forward, say, yes, thank you very much. We would love to have that time, especially because we didn't have the spawn. So that is an unfortunate hard point, without a doubt, brother. If you're Minnesota, you had the spawns, and you leave that hard point realizing we only have 5 seconds. AC's has got to be better.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, but now Minnesota have to run the rotation over towards New. KiSMET is the only player here for New York. The nades come in, so he's going to be hurt. This is where you have the challenge go on. Afro finds that kill. That's going to be 3 dead in the feed, and that's going to be a perfect rotation right there for Minnesota to now get themselves back into this game.
Big one to win. As you said, coming into this aBeZy hard point, we're taking a look at our current hard point and the rotation toward the next one. So all eyes on the top side of the map, as that's actually where Priestahh happens to find himself. Nice and surely making his way up the ladder, and now it's a break opportunity here for New York. A few players begin to go on sprees. HyDra falls off the 2, but it's pDawg, who now finds himself on the 3. 30 seconds still to go, and New York look to be in a wonderful position.
Yeah, you need to get this time if you are New York, because you do not have the favorable spawns for next. As HyDra is now the only player here. He finds 2, goes for the pre-fire, but nothing connects as Afro takes him down by jumping on the sign. So final 15 over towards top AC. It's all about going to this P4. So that was the hill that Minnesota needed to win their rotation over to. And so far, they at least have 1 body in that positioning. Everybody else spawning towards street. So this is going to be an all-out brawl in these gunfights to start us off.
Yeah, for Røkkr, I think it's fair to say, man, like, you just need, I think, a hardpoint hold just for confidence sake. It feels like the last 2, you've had the rotation for it. It hasn't really been great. Skyz and HyDra open things up with 2. Bance and Co doing everything they can to try to stay alive. A current 2v2. Skyz able to drop another one. Minnesota with those close spawns. As Skyz doing everything he can to try to stay up, he eventually falls, and now Røkkr currently hold that time. NYSL very much still knocking on the door.
Yeah, this is a great job from Minnesota to win the gunfights when it was needed the most. But now, unfortunately, they get broken with 3 dead in the feed. Bance, last player up. He's going to get traded.
Another break?
Final 20 is going to go in favor of NYSL. And off the rotation, it has to be a money hill towards Kitchen. You already let 2 players slip on by. It's going to be KiSMET who can be the breaker.
See if he can make a play. But again, for New York, I mean, 2, 3, and 4, you've not even been rotating, but it does not matter. Minnesota, they've got to iron up. They've got to get ready, get focused. The Subliners are not ready to go out early, especially in this tournament, as we fly in now toward Kitchen, pull those Vaznevs out, put the tax away. And the man who's pretty much a specialist with this gun is Afro, trying to lock things down once more. NYSL, 3 players on the outside. Here comes the utility. Here come the stuns. But right now, it's Røkkr winning the fights.
Yeah, it's Røkkr winning the fights. They're holding strong, but KiSMET wakes his way in through back door, at least finds the first, and then the combination of him and HyDra, they're able to find the break. That's 3, making all 4 dead in the feed. Perfect pinch coming in from the Subliners to find the break on towards Kitchen. It's 4 hills in a row where Minnesota have them, the first team there, and instantly are getting broken. That's why New York are starting and pulling away with this game, as they finding kill after kill. Priestahh finds another one with the Vaznev. And this final 15 is going to be New York's, now up by almost 70 points.
There's something to be said, man, as well. I don't know if the fire's still there for pDawg, but we know he's already got his revenge versus his old squad in Minnesota Røkkr. But you never want to drop to your old team, especially in major matches like this. Underdogs in Minnesota trying to come away with the dub. And right now, they are in a world of pain, down by 60 points. And as you said, man, after the first set of rotations, we know what the story is. It is just simply locking things down. It is holding hard points versus what has been a very, very successful New York attack. As we'll go ahead and step aside and go to Aliston now with the Subliners.
Can you have one secret? They can do mid hops, guys. I'm only guess. Yeah, I'm gonna get to your vans, okay?
Can we sign?
Yeah, man, I have your help. No, he's not gas.
On the first block. On the first block.
I got nades on the van, bro. One shot. I have your mid. I have your mid.
Okay.
You want to get right? He's one shot Xbox Bance. Xbox.
Xbox.
He's running at you.
I'm still in front.
He's Xbox. He's in front. Xbox is gonna be weak. Vance on the truck. On the truck. Sand truck. Sand truck. One shot. I saw gas, guys.
One shot. He's front side time. Front side time. It's mid side time, okay?
Right here. I'm going low gas, guys.
Take your time. I don't see Sand
I'm
truck.
looking gas. I'm looking gas.
Oh no, Sand truck got me.
I saw low gas.
See him. Yo, he's playing. Yo, I think he's
Gas
on
truck looking dead. I
He's Xbox on the hill. He's Xbox
One
on the
big gas on me. One big gas on me.
Okay, I don't see him.
You mean mid? They're mid.
Yo, gas truck, guys on me. He's weak. Half of dead. Nice, dude.
He's one shot bottom TD.
I think it's S2. I'm gonna
Must
rotate.
go this grab. Yo, front mid.
One shot dead. One more.
Yo, no dead.
Nice.
Get that grab. Get that grab.
And right there, New York, their comms are hot. I think the biggest thing I took away was how much small talk Skyz was giving. He was leading in the comms, trying to set up his teammates and what they need to watch, what players are going to be open, when spots are going to be open, and that eventually leads to the break over towards P2. Now on the rotation, it's going to be New York in a 2v2 battle. KiSMET can't climb up that ladder, and the Tats is going to be able to take him down, so Minnesota win the rotations for now.
The winner for now, that's the biggest point of emphasis in YSL still with bodies. HyDra looking to stay alive, and it's actually Priestahh who wins the fight up toward the top. He eventually drops, but that hill is only vacant for a second. It's aggression being displayed once more for HyDra as he tries to lead the way. Bance, recognizing how important this hardpoint is, now calls in the streak. Nothing will happen with it. It pretty much just sends a few players back as KiSMET comes away with two. It's an all-out brawl. Such valuable time still left up on the board. New York are there to grab it. And now it's time for the rotation. Jay, it has been all about breaking. How do Minnesota lock this one down, though?
It needs to be the hold from back hedges. You need to win these initial gunfights, get a clean 4 dead, and then control the spawns. Make it a little bit easier for you to hold your irons down towards these hallways and potentially hold the 4 full 60. They find the initial 2 kills. They're going to be fully set up here early on. There's one player in KiSMET always sneaking by and towards top PD. He tries to find the first kill through street. He does so. As long as you're trading, it's Benjamin Bance. He finds 2 of his own.
Benjamin Bance making the plays. And now it's on Afro to have to win his. He knows the KiSMET's right around the corner. Tosses out the nade. Trying to distance them. Anything that you can do just to keep New York at bay, you'll take it. Bance eventually falls, and now here come the Subliners. KiSMET peeks on forward, attach, holding down the irons. Røkkr slowly but surely starting to find a foothold back in this game, down by 25. And here come New York. Here come those yellow arrows as they wipe away all 4. Røkkr were in danger of coming back and taking the lead, but the Subliners say absolutely not.
And look at the rotation. It's going to be New York after finding those 4 kills, finding another 3 in the feed. The only player closest to this point is going to be Bance, but a majority of the players from Minnesota are now going to spawn towards the middle of the map. Bance has now has some help, but it's HyDra's turn to strike. He finds 2 on a 5 spree, just going to stay alive and control this side of the map as the spawns from Minnesota are starting to come in towards back parking lot.
HyDra beginning to erupt right when you need him to if you're a New York fan. 28 and 17. And he knows exactly where the Røkkr push is coming in from. You hold all the cards. He had the knife out for the time, but Bance and Afro, the SMGs from Røkkr, holding on the best way that they can, keeping New York off that double century mark. Minnesota break at the perfect time, but aggression is exactly what the Subliners are eyeing up once more. HyDra looks to make the play on the flank, Jay.
Yeah, HyDra is trying to find the timing. None of his teammates are winning gunfights, so now they get the indication that he's going for the flank, and now that's going to be a clean 4 dead. Minnesota been able to hold this down for about 40 seconds and get themselves right back into this game. Only going to be down 20 if they're able to get this remaining 5. But what a fight this has been from start to finish in this hard point. Now we're in our 3rd rotation of hard points.
I saw a stat coming into this. Shout out to our wonderful stats team. Røkkr, when it comes down to those close hard points, do not have a good record. I want to say they're like around an 0-4, 1-3 statistic. So in these close hard point games, they typically don't stretch them out. We'll see if they can start to settle the score today. An interesting fight.
Man.
The final bullet connects there for Caesar, and that's a big one, considering where the spawn situation happens to be. A small and a minor advantage still currently for New York. Most importantly, Jay, they have those spawns for P2. They don't want to lose those.
Yeah, they don't want to lose that side of the map, as neither one of these squads want to give up any time off of P1. Every time someone jumps on it, they're instantly getting dropped down. It's now Minnesota. Have a couple players in towards the back of the kitchen. One player actually slips on by. It's going to be attached. He's trying to set up the pinch. New York find a couple kills. Attached, the only player here, and that's a perfect rotation coming in from New York. All 4 dead in the feed. Now that allows them to get fully set up for P2.
And you can see it, man. Like Minnesota, they really wanted the P1 time, but they wanted the spawns more. And New York were not going to allow for those to go away easily. As now we come in toward P2. Another side of the rotations where Røkkr have got to try to get a foothold back in this game. They've been really struggling behind the entire matchup so far. And by the way, the hardpoint timer, I didn't even realize, we're starting to become a factor as well. So for Minnesota, you've got quite a few demons now to face off against as Bance looks to slowly but surely make his way back inside of the HP. This would be the first time that a hardpoint can come down to time as Skyz is able to find two. Priestahh is there for the third. Minnesota continue to drop.
And New York cannot win here. They have to rotate towards the next, and they already have two bodies in that position towards top AC. HyDra, the cutoff man, finds the player into Cammy. KiSMET finds the second. So you have at least attached, trying to put pressure on towards P2, not trying to give up all this time, but you have to win the rotation if you are Minnesota. Two players here from New York. These gunfights are big.
They are indeed, but HyDra and Priestahh are firing different, at least for the moment. Afro needs to come away with this gunfight, and Nate at his feet, but a shot that's as straight as you'd like. Straight as an arrow, as they've got to get in that objective, make sure that time does not tick away, but it's P-Dog who comes away with two. He'll hop off that hard point, making Minnesota work as we're kicking off the Boston Major with a Game 5.
Minnesota were the #1 holding team on that map. They won a majority of their rotations towards every single hill. New York have only played MC hardpoint once, and they found break after break after break. Complete breakdown in the setup for Minnesota, as now they lose second hardpoint in this series. And now we're going all the way to a Game 5 win. I was really nervous for New York after that map number 3. But now I'm feeling more confident than ever in the Subliners because they're going into an embassy search and destroy, but they have played this team before and they dominated them in a 6-2 fashion. So if you are Minnesota, got to change a couple things up.
Yeah, you absolutely do. We saw the adjustments made in that search and destroy, but I'll tell you what, man, the biggest focal point on that scoreboard for me was the 35-20 performance out of Priestahh as he helps put the team on his back. The breaks were excellent out of the Subliners as they close out this game 234-184. That's got to be the only hardpoint this year that's come down to time, right? I don't think we've ever seen that.
Yeah, because they were just keeping it ratty. You know, on P1, neither one of the squads want to get any time off of it. It was basically blank, straight white for a full 60s 2 times. No, actually 3 times.
3 times?
Neither one of the squads got any time off of that. So when you allow that time to go down, eventually the game clock is going to come into play. You got broken every single hardpoint. It was always a contest fight, but unfortunately Minnesota were not able to close out that one. So this Game 5 to start us off into Boston, man, it's exactly how we wanted, baby.
Ooh, we love to see that. We love to see Game 5s when it comes down to major time. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have to throw it to a quick break. Make sure if you have not done so already, tweet about this matchup. Tweet out who you think is going to walk away with this series. A big one for both squads as we go to Embassy right after this.
The Call of Duty League is presented by the GMC Hummer EV Pickup, the world's first all-electric super truck. Upgrade your game with the Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Boston Major. In our very first series, we're going to a good old Game 5 between the Minnesota Røkkr and the New York Subliners. It's been a fun time so far here at the Boston Major, Jay, but as we said, man, starting things off the way that I hope that this Major will continue throughout the entirety of it. Game 5.
Oh, Game 5 is exactly what we all live for, man. One map decides the series fate. And if you are Minnesota, you're feeling good because you're going into a search and destroy. You won that Game 2, S&D. But now the only difference is you're playing NYSL on a map that they have previously beat you before. So this is going to be tough, man. This is going to be tough. But the two players that I want to pay attention to for both sides, it's going to be Skyz for NYSL, who is like a 1.3 on this map with the AR and the sniper in hand. And then the opposite side, it's Afro, man. The aggression that he is able to put on this map. He has a 1.26 overall KD. So this is going to be a battle, man. I know the way that we recently casted Minnesota on this map, and they were the tone setters. On a defensive round, they like to get super aggressive through the middle of the map and basically try to trap you in towards PD. Just all depends on what New York decided to do in this early attack. Do they trap themselves?
Here we go, into Game 5. A big one indeed. The defending champions taking on a team that really is looking for some land success. As we jump into our first, it is an opening blood granted there for HyDra. Bance at least able to even the score up, as we're nice and aggressive to start, and things begin to slow down a little bit more. Okay, he's got to be weak, goodness sake.
Yeah, you got to be
some
careful.
shots and a good old nade.
Got to be careful if you are Cammy. Cannot peek, or you will get taken down. Now that the health regenerates, you're able to get all the information, and New York are going to be playing it slow towards hedges. It's only 45 seconds left on the clock. And right now, Minnesota, you have the cross watch. You have a player playing towards mid. You also have the cover fire and Cammy watching over towards B. New York needs to try to find an opening.
See if they can find it right now. Attach. He's got the angle. He knows. He spots the knee. There of KiSMET. Bance slithering forward. Drops Priestahh. It's also bombed down. So 25 seconds to go. And NYSL, they've got to get a move on. They've got to begin this attack. As Skyz is going to have to work just to even get the bomb. Rather, the bomb picked up in the first place. Both players win their 1v1s, and Røkkr claim round 1.
That's good work from Minnesota. Once they ended up getting first blooded, the trade was literally right there to turn it into a 3v3, trap New York in towards PD. And they have Bance, the playmaker, fills that role for Afro, gets super aggressive up towards planners, and shuts down that push, finds 3 on the round as Minnesota take round 1.
Bance, I mean, tell you what, he looks like
he's having himself a series, man.
Like, literally. Not even just in this series, but as we said, to close out the Major 2 qualifiers, he has been playing at the top of his level. This looks like old Bance, like Black Ops 3, Grand Final champs, Grand Final type of situations. He has been lighting it up lately for Røkkr. We'll see if he can do the same thing coming into this next one, as it's another pick granted the way of Afro and the Minnesota Røkkr, and on the attack, you will take those every single day of the week. New York, got to be careful not to scramble.
He didn't spot him. He did not spot him, but this is where Bance is potentially going to hit the jump out right through the window.
Oh my
right
word.
on by.
What?
Wasn't even able to spot him.
Cammy has no idea. Cammy literally has no clue, surely, in this moment, that KiSMET is behind enemy lines. A nice long-range shot that where Bance wins his one. Afro does it too. Skyz to the 1v3 after what could have been some of the craziest COD timing we've seen in a while. KiSMET finds his pick, but Røkkr, they win their fights. Bance 5-0, Jay.
Taking over in this game 5, man. Plays it super patient. They get the first blood onto Priestahh. And the craziest COD timing happens, but it's still Bance able to find the final 2 kills on the round.
But Bance.
Now he's one kill away from earning that cruise missile. Could be so crucial in these later rounds for Minnesota. So now New York needs to try to stop the bleeding. This time they're gonna switch up the play. Super aggressive over towards that B-bomb.
I see some early tags coming in from Røkkr. There's an Afro quickly running on into the bathrooms. Is NYSL, much like on Hotel, trying to get that plant down nice and early. Nate's toss, utility toss with the bomb, ultimately does get planted. And now it's going to come down to Bance and Co to try to make the plays. Skyz looking over the top, he's able to cut away one. Bance's position is no, but it doesn't matter. Staying alive, he's got the cruise missile.
He's got the cruise missile, already job done, because this round is not going to be easy. You have to clear out towards top PD. You know that's the positioning where Skyz is currently playing. And that Priestahh also watching back hedges. Nothing's going to be able to flank through the staircase because the vent house isn't going to be earned. Skyz get the sound cues. That's going to be New York finally getting one on the board with the aggression. Leads to success. 1-2 now.
This is, I mean, what? I mean, that early bomb plant. It's what we saw so often in the Hotel search destroy. I mean, as time went on, I feel like Røkkr began to figure it out. But still, that's the strategy. It's what we know that the Subliners like to do. They've got that incredible pace when it comes to the respawns. And they like to do it early on in rounds of search destroy. Seeing that be showcased quickly here in the embassy as we switch sides once more. Minnesota now on the attack.
And if I'm New York, I'm not going to slow down the aggression. That's when they've been able to find a lot of success by playing for those close range engagements and walking out on top. So now Minnesota just going to take their time. They find the first kill onto KiSMET. HyDra instantly there for the trade though. 3v3.
With a little 3v3, Cammy the big spot. Oh, he's trying to cut down Priestahh. Not able to do it, but at least he's got that info. You could tell Minnesota not confident yet to go for the cross. And right now for HyDra, he just wants to continue to be really that middle lane demon. Trying to continue to cause problems for Minnesota. Meanwhile, Jay, it looks like the bomb has started to make its way over toward A. It looks like the strategy's still being worked on here for Røkkr. HyDra still on the prowl as we see trades.
Oh, big kill coming in from Cammy. At least the trade comes in from Skyz. So now in the 2v2, attached, just get the sound cues. That one player's working his way all the way around street. But there's not that much time to work with. You have to commit towards this bomb plant, and HyDra might have put himself in the best position possible. Takes that player down, stays alive versus attached. And now with that bomb being down where it is, 15 seconds left, attached not gonna have enough time to even plant the bomb.
Oh, if you're attached, you've got to be so frustrated in a moment like that. You watch your teammate fall off the bomb plant. You're like, hey, I got the trade. Oh, no, I don't. HyDra with the gunfight. HyDra stayed alive. And on top of it all, he cuts start attached at the end. Great work there for the French phenom as NYSL bring us back to level.
Yeah, right there, if you are attached, I know you got the sound cues of a player going through the flank, but he made his way all the way up street, killed the player off bomb before you even got closer to your teammate in that situation. I would like to see him just give it that positioning. Once you commit towards that bomb plan, you have to have a teammate watching over you. So he gets into that play a little bit late, and New York now tied up at 2. They had a lot of success early on with their attacking round towards B, but this time the nade comes in from Bance, first blood onto HyDra.
Yeah, and that trophy may have...
Doesn't work.
Not worked the greatest. May have to take that back. Hopefully they got the receipts. We're jumping into this round, and again, for New York, I mean, it's a little bit of chaos early. They've got to reference back, make sure they get that bomb, and the biggest problem really is that you no longer have any positioning at that cross. So Minnesota just ready to park the bus, really hang out in the back. Maybe allow for the picks to continue to come.
Yeah, Tatch is going to have his hands full, though. He's able to at least spot KiSMET, and he also picks up the information onto Priestahh. You have to try to get out with your life. The stun connects, and he's able to hit the movement to get on out. 40 seconds. The bomb is going to get planted. This is where you invest it. The comms are coming in from Bance.
Oh, they are indeed. He spots him on the bomb. Oh, able to cut away. Priestahh keeps KiSMET safe, but that is it. A 2v4, and now KiSMET and Skyz are going to lock things down. 35 seconds to go. Attach here Trying to bait out as Afro comes away with one. It is all on to Caesar. A 1v4 in the whole world knows his positioning. Røkkr invests the streak, and it will pay off. Now up 3-2.
That's just a perfect retake right there from Minnesota. And that cruise missile was massive right there from Bance, because there was a trophy on the backside towards Milk Truck, but he puts it towards back alley, finds that kill onto Priestahh, and then in a 4v2, no one fully commits towards a 1v1 gunfight. They wait for their teammates to get in the engagement. And that was a 4-up, 4-down clean round right there from Minnesota. Now up 3-2.
I'll tell you what, the pace of this search destroy,
nice and slow.
Very similar to what we saw in Hotel. Just constant back and forth rounds, late game plays. As both these teams, as we said, realize the pressure of the moment. I mean, you lose your opening series, it would absolutely cause lots of problems. Throw a wrench into the setup, no doubt, for whoever drops our opener. As we said, into the game 5 and quickly into this round as Minnesota taking a strategy out of New York's book. Get that bomb down quick.
Now in a 4v4 retake, no New York players are going to be committed towards the flank. They're all trying to break this through orange. 2 players from Minnesota are ready for the push. Throwing shoulders, trying to stay alive, trying to get every single ounce of information you can pick up. As the challenge comes in from Afro, he finds the first 2, already a 4v2.
The one moment where the subliners begin to line up and Afro makes them pay. Back-to-back situations where a clutch is needed, and it will not happen. Great work from Afro, perfect timing, as that ends up being what seals the deal, and now we've got a swing round in our hands coming up.
Yeah, the timing was everything, because New York, they were just wasting a lot of time trying to regroup and play for a team challenge, but by the time they took control of bottom orange, Afro finds the timing, gets 2, and eventually finds a 3rd to close out the round. Now Minnesota give themselves a nice little comfortable cushion of 2 rounds. But you said it, Lando, this is the swing round. New York have to take this one.
It's crazy that we're saying that. Like, it really is. Like, I know we're already into this series. We've been here for a while, but see the Major 1 champions already in a spot like this. Makes us only wonder what the rest of the Boston Major has prepared. Is Afro taking his primary position up close and personal as New York, as we know, a team that likes to play aggressive, well, they're going to slow down the pace, and for good reason.
Nice and slow. They don't spot Afro. Afro gets the first blood, and now he's on a 5 spree. Just him holding down this position is going to make the task a lot more difficult for New York. Big kill coming in from Priestahh. Shuts down that kill streak. But now in the 3v3, only 45 seconds. New York have to put a move on it, and Minnesota, they're ready for every single push.
You can see you've got just a few different pillars around the map right now for Røkkr. Players positioned in every lane. Attach ends up getting taken down from the car bomb. And with that, Bance is going to be aware of what has to be a push toward the back alley. He has been the player so far who has given Røkkr such a lifeline. Can he beat it now? Throws out a few shots, but none of them are going to connect for a kill. Bomb planted. And now it comes on to Bance and Cammy.
Comes on the Bance and Cammy, but at least Cammy gets that information. One player still getting playing towards top bathrooms. So it's a 2v2 towards site. Priestahh is going to get spotted. Chow's going to come in from KiSMET. Big kill onto Cammy. Now it's all up to the Bance. He gets taken down. And New York, even after getting first blooded, play it super patient, get all the information possible, find that kill onto attach, which is the opening over towards that A site. You get it down, play your numbers, and clutch up the round. New York now down 4-3.
Let's get ready to call it, man. I was waiting for attach to enter in toward that gunfight, as that was really what was going to break it open. That was going to break open the route for the subliners. As we said, he falls due to the car bomb, and with that, New York station themselves over at that A site. They win the swing round, and just like that, the score quickly changes. The momentum begins to shift a little bit, and who knows, maybe NYSL have awoken.
Both teams are playing it super slow. Don't want to make any mistakes. These players from Minnesota just trying to get any ounce of information they can get from top window. The timing is there for KiSMET, but he can't find the kill.
No way. There is no way HyDra also hears Afro. I think Afro intentionally makes the steps happen so that HyDra will not go for the gunfight. Oh my God. Minnesota with some great work. However, KiSMET is at least able to bring things down to a 3 versus 3. Skyz will also drop one on the Cammy. Numbers with New York, 40 seconds to go. And it all comes down to Afro and Attach. Trying to stay up, drops him through the bomb. And now it comes down to the captain, a 1v3 here for Dylan Price.
Hey, the most cussed player in Search and Destroy. Does he have another one in his bag? So that bomb is going to be down towards B, only 25 seconds. You have to eliminate 3 players on the map. The chow's going to come in from Skyz. And New York now chained 2 rounds in a row to tie it all up at 4.
As we said, this has been a team that has gone through so much at that major. Oftentimes it was late game search, destroy victories. They had their dominant moments, but they obviously had their chances where they needed to clutch up. Down 4-2, they've brought it back. Now to a 4-4 scoreline. And now the questions start to fall onto Røkkr, Jay. I mean, you've lost a few rounds in a row. The comms, everybody's got to stay calm. They've got to stay positive. Because as we said, you see those streaks right now from the Subliners. They are rolling right now.
Yeah, they're starting to feel it. Starting to get back into this search and destroy. They're going to drop the bomb in towards bottom PD. Just trying to get the information nice and early. The aggression from HyDra is not going to lead to success. He gets picked. That's KiSMET instantly there for the trade. So now in the 3v3. Minnesota are going to do the same exact thing they've been doing the entire time. One player watching across, Attach watching street, and Cammy being that guy watching over towards that B site. Just has to find the timing. KiSMET spots Afro, so at least Afro's able to give that information that they're getting close over towards that B site.
KiSMET making the plays, man. Another round where HyDra drops for the first blood. KiSMET finds that. He finds information. Allows for that bomb plant to go down unscathed. He'll pop Deddy. Meanwhile, it's Cammy right now for Røkkr, who's the closest player to the bomb site. There's a bunch of different gunfights that are getting ready to happen. Player 6 as well, and Afro. He could soon be seeing a few players. Cammy wins his fight, so now New York low in numbers, but a bomb still to defend. Afro, oh my goodness. Skyz cuts down one, and now he's the sole man alive. Afro's right here knocking on the door to the office. If he wins his snipe, oh my God! Jay, if that snipe connects, Attach cannot go for the defuse. That is a hit marker that could define this series, this entire tournament.
Yeah, the sniper definitely connected, but 9 HP remaining from Afro in this gunfight. Such a big one-on-one to win. Very unfortunate right there for Skyz. As we got to take a look at it again, the quick scope comes in. Looks like he hit him right in the chest, man. Right in the chest, but Minnesota are able to clutch up the round, now at game point.
We were talking about Minnesota, they can't tilt. If you're Skyz, you cannot tilt after a situation like that. I don't think anybody doubts him in that 1v2 if he is able to find that sniper kill, but here we go, right into the round. And maybe off of a momentum-based play like that, Røkkr looked to play aggressive. And aggression right now will lead to 2 players quickly falling off the map and dropping. Bomb planted here from Afro.
And HyDra, he makes his way all the way in towards top PD. He's able to get the information of where Afro is playing. He can't finish the kill though. KiSMET eventually closes that one out. So now in the 3v2. Now one player works his way all the way around the map. Attach gets picked apart, all left up to Cammy. And look at his positioning.
Cammy has got to make the plays, and right now he's got the perfect timing. Oh my word, Cammy has found the first pick, and right now Skyz will instantly hop on that bomb. Cammy has got to go for the look. He's got to check. He's got to check, and he will not. New York had the numbers, and they utilized them. Hop right on the defuse. And now we've got ourselves a Game 5, Round 11. This is the way to kick off a major, Jay.
It's exactly where you want to be right now. In this first series, Round 11, all the way to the very end. It's going to be New York on the attack, Minnesota on defense. If I'm NYSL, I'm making the play call. Super aggressive towards the speed bomb. Let's get it down.
What a spot this is for both teams, as this will change the tournament landscape. However, which way it goes. Into round 11. And it is not aggression at all being established from the Subliners. Meanwhile, it's Cammy. As we said, the guy so far throughout this series, he had to deliver and search, destroy, and right now in a big spot, he's able to do so.
And that's a big first blood. Because this time it wasn't New York with the immediate response to make it a 3v3. So now you have the man advantage. New York are going to be trapped in towards PD. Just have to make sure you hold down every single cut. One player makes his way through. It's HyDra, but he also has that bomb in hand.
Oh, Bance isn't able to take it. HyDra enters into the hallway of hesitation. And now he jumps in, wins that fight. And it's quickly a 3v3. NYSL, 35 seconds to go. But a decision that has to be made when it comes down to that bomb. And they're running right toward attach.
Running right towards attach. As HyDra makes his way all the way up towards Milk Truck, but Afro, he's trying to work towards the flank. Cammy comes back. He finds the first attach with the second. 1v3.
Oh, and that's it! Minnesota Røkkr! Covered away with the Game 5, round 11! A shocker to kick off our Boston Major, as in the opening match, our defending champions start things off 0-1. They're headed to the elimination bracket. But what a moment this is, Jay, for the Røkkr. As we said, those LAN performances have not been great, but they could not catch a bigger dub right now than that one.
Biggest dub possible, man. You take down the team that eliminated you guys at Major 1. You get it done all the way into game number 5 in the round 11. And I'm pretty sure that is the first time for this Minnesota Røkkr squad that they complete the series in a Neslo fashion. At 2-3-5, they're able to clutch up in that final round. And I just want to give some props to Cammy, because in Search and Destroy so far throughout the entirety of this game, he has been struggling. But in that final game, he was getting first blood after first blood. Even in that final round, he opens up with that first kill, puts his team in a man advantage. Goes 9-7 in the S&D, obviously led by Afro, 11-6, the aggressor. That duo just took over in that game number 5.
Jay, we're talking about first bloods. Afro had 6 of them.
Yeah, that's disgusting, man.
In one game. 6 first bloods. That is absolutely mental stuff there out of Afro. As there you see the scoreline. Minnesota, a 2-3-5 dub. Kicking off this Boston Major with an upset already. Whew. We're talking about comps. Both teams have had horrible, issues trying to get to the event in the first place. Both rosters could very well be tilted coming into a match like this, but Minnesota remain composed as they stay alive in the winner's bracket.
Some serious ice, man. Some serious ice. Minnesota trying to change the pace, trying to go better than that top 8. And so far, they're off to a great start.
They are indeed. Boston could be a good location for them. That's going to do it for myself and Jay. The first series is done, but now we send it over to Blaze, who's on the main stage.
Thank you so much, Lando and Study, for another Game 5, round 11 to kick off this tournament. And we got Minnesota coming out with the dub. Bance, it's been a while, man, but this series was absolutely insane. Now, talk to me about some of those final moments in the S&D, those final last 2 rounds that you guys had, because it was really close. And I know the adrenaline is pumping. What was the game plan?
I feel like going into the round 11, I was just like, let's just play slow, let's just do what we've been doing. I feel like we were getting a lot of first bloods, and we just weren't converting the rounds, just through like small mistakes, small miscommunications and stuff. It almost happened in the round 11. HyDra made a play. I was waiting for him.
I saw he made the play on you.
Yeah,
you get kind of scared.
I was waiting for him, and then he was just more patient. But yeah, we just stuck to the game plan of just sticking to our fundamentals and getting first bloods. All
right, now when it comes down to your team, you mentioned a lot about the first bloods, okay? Afro had 6 in that last map. Cammy made some big plays. Talk to me about your teammates here and how they made this series just a little bit more easier for you.
Oh yeah, my teammates are disgusting. Obviously, Marcus, MVP performances constantly. Cam, everyone knows how good Cam is. And Dill, obviously a world champion. Yeah, they've got my back no matter what. Obviously, I kept getting blooded sometimes, and they made up for it, so shout out them.
Hey, you got a lot of awesome fans out here in the crowd, okay? Tell me what this event means for you and the Minnesota Røkkr and what you guys want to do here today.
It means a lot, obviously. Major 1 was not the greatest for us. We're just trying to carry on. I feel like we've been improving a lot. We're showing it a lot right now. Just need to keep going.
Hey, well, keep going. You've been doing great so far. Give it up for Bance to the Minnesota Røkkr one more time. That's going to do it for us on the stage. Chris, take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Blaze. And Boston, make some noise for your casters. Another Game 5 from Study and Lando. Awesome stuff here, though, to break down on the deck. desk, pucking alongside Chance, Alley Cat, and Mr. Joey DeLuca. Merc, I want to start with you because this is the first upset of potentially many here in this bracket. How surprised are you to see this Minnesota team not just take New York to a Game 5, but to win it?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm too surprised, because I think throughout the qualifiers they looked a lot better. They looked a lot more team-oriented. Bance really stepping up, and that was it. Bance and Afro had themselves a series. But I want to give props to Cammy, because I feel like there were moments when he was really struggling throughout that series, and he turned it around, especially in that map 3 control. But I think the map 3 choice for New York is going to be a huge talking point, right? That LSELO control, they were so good at control at Major 1. Was that the right play? We don't know their scrims, how the practice is going, what they wanted to do, but I think you got to circle that one for sure.
This was number 4 versus number 5 in our seeds for Major number 2, but here's the effect on our bracket. We got to walk the fans through because their pick'ems, well, you might be looking a little bit different here in the bottom side. Subliners dropping down. They will play the Royal Ravens tomorrow at 1:30. Meanwhile, the Røkkr now move on to that winners round 2. They will play the winner of OpTic or LA later tomorrow as well. Chance, let's go down this series though and talk about some of the highlights, especially in that Game 5. Both teams had their moments. We saw some epic sniping from Skyz. That should have counted, by the way. And it goes to around 11, but I think the casters nailed it. 6 first bloods from Afro. The man is getting the picks when they need them.
And even for what Bance was saying in the interview of, like, for the most part, sticking to the game plan, playing things slow, the first bloods seemed to be their biggest focus. And Afro, it seemed like he had a different answer every single round. Offense and defense, he finds a spot, he just lays on his belly and waits for the kills to fall on his lap. So I just think they had a very strong game plan going into it, very well executed, and obviously, I mean, it's only for a nail-bite around 11 win, so it's not like it's easy after you get the first bloods, but it's just incredible execution. 6 on Afro. They had like 8 out of 11 total in the game. I have to imagine the coaches are incredibly happy.
Search their best game mode right now, Allie?
I am their strongest game mode, for sure. I don't know so much about their best, but I will say it's funny that Bance brought up the fact that they were struggling to convert those first bloods, because they're second in the league right now in getting those first bloods, but they are 8th overall in converting them. So good to know that they're hyper aware of it, Chris. But I did want to touch on the fact that even though Minnesota Røkkr lost both hard points in this series, it was literally like the smallest mistakes I've ever seen. And it's the fact that they tried to do too much. Bance was always trying to hit a flank. When they did early rotate, they only put about 1 player in that hill, and the other 2 tried to push it out and get control of the map way too early, and unfortunately, they all would lose gunfights at the same time and get broken much too easily. It's a very simple fix. They just need to play around each other a little bit more, and I think they have better opportunities in these series moving forward in our event.
You got Buff Dill getting fired up. Attach is ready for their next challenger. For the rest of the day, though, they get to go back and watch some VODs as New York prepares for their match as well. But Joey D, we got to visit our scuff play of the game here in just a moment. It came from Afro in not Game 5. It came from him in game number 2. It seemed that he set the tone in these search and destroys. Another star performance from a guy who came into this event with a 1.5 in our Major 2 qualifiers.
Yeah, I mean, this is just what Afro has been doing for this team, I mean, all year long, right? And, you know, obviously at times it's tough when he always has to do it, right? You can't always rely on him to have the best performances. That's when you're looking at someone like Bance in that game number 3 to really step up. But yeah, I mean, Afro, when it comes to that search and destroy, when he is called upon, he's making the play.
We got our scuffs right here. You can get yours today, and we got your first scuff play of the day loaded up right now. Let's show it to you one more time. Allie, the man, he's a monster in this game mode.
Yeah, no, I mean, 11 and 4 overall for this. I wonder how many first bloods in this first S&D he had as well, but just some of the kills he gets, it's just so impactful for the rest of his team to relieve that pressure on them. This retake right here actually was beautiful from the side of Minnesota Røkkr. Just like we said, it's definitely their strongest game mode right now, but I think we'll see some changes here moving forward.
And I also think, like, it's just the SMGs across the board for Røkkr, like in that kitchen area, that were the biggest factor for success. Afro obviously putting up a highlight reel, but even Cammy had the one round where he was picking up pieces. So there was just a section of the map that Røkkr completely locked down.
Team